Fear is the enemy.
Buggy City Music Box.
Whatever it is that you're going for, man, go hard. And hold on, never give up. You gotta have that mentality, man. I put in the work, I spent a lot of time on the waiting list. Never complained, I ain't never said shit. Shoot my shot, no fear if I miss. Imagine you chasing a dream that you love, only to find out it wasn't enough. You fall on your face, but you get right back up. And you fall back again, but you get right back up, yeah. That's the way that it's always been. Don't nobody care about the grind but you. Nobody putting in the time but you. Make up your mind, who you wanna be. I know who I am, I know what I want. Live by 2 words, mama mentality. And that's word to my mom, word to my pops, word to my little bro. They said make your mistakes, but don't make excuses on why you can't live and learn. On a couple occasions I damn near went broke. I'm chasing this music thing, and I ran out of hope. I threw in the towel, said fuck the hole in the street. I kept on writing and touring. I picked up a job cause I knew it was important. The money I made, I would stash it away just to fund my recordings. And I didn't wanna stop cause I didn't know how. I would lay in my room by myself late at night, and I finally figured it out. I just wanna be the best version of me, make all the music that I wanna make. I don't care what nobody gon' say. You miss all of the shots you don't take. And the answer is no, if you don't ask. If it gets hard, this too shall pass. God is my witness and he got the plan. He got the plan. I put in the work, I spent a lot of time on the waiting list. Never complained, I ain't never said shit. Shoot my shot, no fear if I miss. Imagine you chasing a dream that you love, only to find out it wasn't enough. You fall on your face, but you get right back up. And you fall back again, but you get right back up, yeah. That's the way that it's always been. Don't nobody care about the grind but you. Nobody putting in the time but you. Make up your mind, who you wanna be. I know who I am, I know what I want. Live by 2 words, mama mentality. Yeah. Remember, man, you only in competition with yourself. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. Pleasure and pain. R.I.P. the greatest. 0824.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. What's going on, y'all? It's your buddy DH. We are here for another version of Circle Talk. I'm hoping and praying y'all can hear me okay. There it is. We up and running. So welcome again. Thank you guys so much for being here. We are excited to do it one more again this April. What's today? The 22nd, April 22nd. 2023. I'm really excited to have our guest today. I actually met this guy at Poetry at Intentions, one of the events that they were doing a couple months ago. I think it was like 2 months ago, I think maybe. I met him, and when he hit the floor, stood up in front and started to share his thoughts and his passage, his speech, his words of encouragement, and just realization of what life is truly all about and some of the things that we might be missing along the way. It was definitely an eye-opening experience for everyone that was a part of this passage that he had shared with us. He blew the waters off the floor and everyone in there. The brother's very intelligent. I'm really excited to be here with him and just learn a little bit about what he's been doing since we met and where this all started for him. He's really, really intelligent guy, and I'm really excited, and I hope that you guys are too, to learn a little bit more about Mr. NDC Poetry, Nick Courmon in the building. So before we bring him in, I just want to give a huge shout out to all my sponsors. Thank you so much for continued support. iShotcha.com. If anybody's out there looking for pictures and need to get them done ASAP, get them done right at a reasonable price, hit up iShotcha.com. My good friend Marvin Patterson, he'll get you done anytime, any place, anywhere. He's that type. He's gets it done. If you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is hit him up, tell him I sent you, to get you a good discount. Next, we're going to go with the Icon ENT. Shout out to my guy, Willie Jr. Thomas. He's actually on his way to the Bahamas right now, posting pictures of him about to get on this big old ship down on the east, down east. I think he's in Miami right now. But anyways, if anyone is looking for someone to get you to any type of major events going on in the area, and don't necessarily want to drive because you're afraid you might get a little tipsy at the end of the night, hit up Willie Jr. Thomas over at Icon ENT. He's in charge of the Party Bus Extravaganza. If you want to get somewhere in style with the music, with the drinks, with the friends, and go in it's got to be at least 10 people though. Is one of the things that they ask is you have at least 10 people for any trip. And, it's a really cheap deal, actually. He'll get you there and get you there in style. And you ain't got to worry about driving home, and worrying and getting yourself in any type of trouble. So hit up Icon ENT. It'll get you done right. Chaya Movement. The Chaya Fashion actually has an event that they're doing right now. They're doing an event where people are bringing in their clothing, and what they're doing is taking those clothing and turning them into clothing for others to purchase and to wear at a reasonable price. Shout out to Zakia for her continued support in the community. And if you have not heard anything about some of the things that Zakia is doing, all you have to do is hit up the ChayaFashion.com to learn more about all the amazing events that she's involved in. Last but not least, Intentions Juice and Smoothies Bar. Thank you so much, Marquita Evans, for your continued support for me and everything in the community. This woman is working extremely hard. She recently just opened up 2 more stores. She actually is hiring. If anybody's looking for a job in Seattle, she is hiring for her new open establishment out there in Seattle. All you have to do is hit up Intentions Juice and Smoothie Bar and tell them I sent you, and she will get you done and maybe get you a job at the same time. All right. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the man of the hour, Mr. Nick Courmon, to teach us a little bit more about poetry and his heart and how it all started for him. So let's get into it. Yo, can you hear me okay?
Yes. I was about to say you're coming in clear, brother. You're coming in clear. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, hey, man, I do appreciate you for making this time for us to have this conversation and dig in a little bit about you and your journey and the things that made you who you are today. I mean, for me, like watching you that day, sharing your knowledge about, things that people may not know. For me, I'm a young cat from Washington State, and here we talk a lot about diversity. And for me, when you shared the facts about just how, things are happening within our Black communities that need to be highlighted and stop allowing people to put them on the back burner. I was really, really impressed by your wordplay, the way that you brought it to us, and you spoke facts. And there were facts that people can go and look up and okay, he knew exactly what he was talking about. So I really enjoyed. I was really impressed by everything that you brought to the table, and then to make it even better for me is that you were presentable after you got done. You was willing to chop it up with everybody, friendly, and just kept it 100. About who you were, and you're a person just like everybody else. Even though you spit like the best, you're a real person, and you don't shy away from the fact that you're just like everybody else in this world, just trying to make a name for yourself and just be a good person. So where did this all start for you, man? Where did it all start? Poetry.
Amen. So for me, poetry started around like age 12, age 13. Well, really like age 12,
Yeah.
13. Um, sixth grade, language arts.
Mhm.
I hated poetry a
Yeah.
lot. When I tell people, they're like, "Oh, ain't no way." But yes, I really hated poetry. My language arts teacher, she was trying to get, when we have that one poetry unit during school, I was like, "Oh man, like this is terrible."
Mhm.
Because of how it was introduced to me,
Yeah.
just writers that I couldn't identify with, writers that really didn't speak the same kind of language that I spoke, or had experiences that I could really see myself in. So I just instantly disconnected from it, and I was like, yeah, I'm good on this like forever. Like I'm gonna do it for the grade, but after this, I'm cool. Like I don't want nothing else to do with it. And like that summer, after school had ended, my grandfather had passed away, and my granddad, like that was my number one. That was my guy. Like that was my birthday twin. Like we shared a birthday and everything. So like that was my man. And at the funeral, my older brother Lamar, he had gotten called up to do a poem, and like the lady was like, yeah, we're gonna get one of the grandchildren to come up and do a poem. And I was like, bro, you don't do poetry. Like, I've never known you to be a poet. Like,
Right.
what is this? Uh, and when he got up there, just seeing how he commanded the room from start of the poem to the end of the poem, like the stories that he was putting in, like the memories that he was able to utilize, and just to see him lift the entire morale, of the room the way he did, I was like, oh, I didn't know poetry was like this. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know this is what poetry did. So I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do this. Like this is what I'm gonna do. And then from there, like that night after I took my post church, post funeral nap, because those after church naps hit different. Especially as you got some food in you.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna write this poem. Like I'm gonna write my first poems, and like that's how I really got started. And they were bad, but at the time I thought they were good. So that's
So,
really that's really
hey,
how I got started in poetry. Yeah.
real quick, hey, can you hear me? Okay.
Oh yeah, brother, I get you fine.
So I'm having some feedback right now. I do apologize if you guys are watching. Can you see me? Am I? Because I'm looking at my screen and it's like I'm still. Do Can you see me? Okay, you see my hands moving. Everything is still
Well, I
legit.
can't see I can't see your hands moving, but I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so let me see what's going on with my feedback here because like I am live, but we're having some issues, you guys. I do apologize. We just kind of went over this, and so let me see if I can fix it. Let me ask you something though. While I still have you live and everything is you can hear me. Um,
Yeah.
like where are you originally from? Like born and raised. Tell us a little about your family life up and coming. Did you say you were from South Carolina or North Carolina?
North
North
Carolina,
Carolina.
yes, yeah.
I knew it was one of the Carolinas. I just couldn't remember which one it was. So
Yeah.
tell us a little about growing up in North Carolina. Any brothers, sisters, how your mom's dad. Tell me a little bit about that life.
Yeah, so born and raised in Greensboro, North Carolina. Greensboro is, it's a beautiful place. I I rep Greensboro really hard, especially being a Black History kid.
Mm,
Um, I was raised by my mother. My father, he passed away when I was 2 years old. So really, it was really just me and my older brother and my mom in the household. And one of the big things though was like they were really big on education. They were really big on Black history and like knowing our roots, knowing where we come from. Uh, we have well at my mom's house we have this like really huge like these two big bookshelves, and they have uh, this series called the Black Achievement series
mm,
about all kinds of like famous, well-known, little-known, Black history figures, like everybody from, of course, MLK and Malcolm X to Josephine Baker, Matthew Henson, and everybody else in between, Baldwin, and like all of these people.
Mm,
And being able to be exposed to like those kinds of things early, and like both of my parents went to HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. My mom went to Livingstone College. My father went to North Carolina A&T. And like with that, ingrained all of that, blackness,
hmm
in our family,
Yeah,
it only made sense for them to make sure that that blackness was ingrained into me and my brother. We
absolutely.
had to we had to read the books, and then we had to give a report to our parents, or to my mom. And like my mom always gets on me because he's like, yeah, like you used to read the book that you knew that I didn't read, and then you would ask me questions about the book as if I read it. And I was like, oh well, my apologies. But yeah, like just growing up in Greensboro and all the history that is in Greensboro with the A&T for and how the sit-in movements, really sparked. There were previous sit-ins in other cities, but after those four young men from North Carolina A&T sat in at that lunch counter at Woolworths in downtown Greensboro, it spread like wildfire
Mhm.
throughout the rest of the South. And just the history in Greensboro, and just being able to be a part of that community. Even though I didn't get to know my dad too well, because he passed away,
Right.
just how plugged in he was into the community, working as a radio DJ, working with the city, and like water treatment and everything. They named an award after him. After he passed. So just being able to like hear stories and like meet people that knew him and everything. It was it's been a beautiful thing to grow up in Greensboro, and then go to different parts of North Carolina as well.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. And I do like for me, like I said, I was born here in Washington State, and for me, I've dealt with a lot of just differences when it comes to my upbringings. I wasn't around a solid family that really promoted blackness and being involved in an HBCU. My mom's was all about the church and getting saved and following Christ. And my dad was the complete opposite. My papa was a Rolling Stone. You know that song? That was my father. He was in the streets heavy, doing what he did. And as far as following our who we are as Black people, that was never something that was really
Yeah.
highlighted. Um, do you think that, I mean, because my kids are all mixed with white, and the reason why that is because for me, I never was taught that there was anything wrong with being in love with someone that isn't necessarily the same color as me. Did you ever, like, at any point in your upbringing, see any diversity as far as that went, where you seen a lot of couples that were mixed couples in North Carolina, or was it predominantly Black, predominantly white over here? Or, I mean, how was it, kind of, growing up down there? Did you ever see any of that in your area?
Oh, definitely. And I think that when I was really getting older, or growing up, so to speak, uh, I think just the way that they draw, like district lines for like schools and whatnot. That's a whole nother conversation within itself. But like I lived in a neighborhood that was predominantly Black. We might have had the occasional white family
Mm.
scattered, throughout the neighborhood and throughout the area. But I lived in a neighborhood that was predominantly black. So when I was home, and everything like that, all I saw was, black folks, black couples, black marriages, black whatever. Uh,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then and then within my family, just it was just all black everything. But
Right.
then uh K through 12, I went to schools where I was one of the only people that looked like me
Oh,
in
wow.
particular. So I was always, you know, going to predominantly white schools. So I was around white people a lot more,
Right.
and I was able to see like interracial couples and like things of that nature. And then as I got even older, just going off to college and everything, and
Hmm.
meeting all kinds of people. Like I have friends, I have fraternity brothers, who are in interracial relationships,
Right.
and everything like that. So, and the thing that my mom always told me was, she was like, I don't care if she black, white, or whoever, just make sure you only have one. It was just make
True
sure
that.
you only have one. Make sure you only have one.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I was like, I understand, Mom. I do understand, but it's all about area. It's all about proximity. It's all about what you're exposed to, and like really what you grow up around, and
Yeah.
again the values that are instilled, in the home as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. I think what's so impressive is the way that you are able to articulate things. I definitely didn't give you any questions, so you didn't have an idea of what was going to be coming with this conversation. But for me, I feel really great that I've chosen uh, a few things in my mind
yeah,
that I thought we could talk about. And I think for me, there's another one that has really been hard pressed on my mind. And I'm gonna throw it at you, and you can throw it back and let me know how
yeah.
you feel about it. But the N word, um, the N word is used in pretty much everything nowadays. You hear it in all the music online, on TV. You hear it on songs that are being played on the radio. You hear it in some of your favorite hooks. I mean, it's like a word that is used by your friends. I mean, it is used so often that it's people look at it like it's a normal term. But what is your particular thoughts on the N word?
Um, it's definitely a multi pronged approach to it. So
Mhm.
on the one hand, I do understand what group A would say about the N word, its roots, its origins. Oh, it's been an insult. It has been used to denigrate and degrade and all of these things. That I completely understand that. I get that. And I agree. I agree to a point. But then I also agree with group B. Of like, well, like it's a reclamation of the word. Like, I mean, just being able to use it and say just use it freely and say it out how we want to say it in the spaces that we want to say it in,
Mhm.
and again how we want to say it. It just hits differently, and to have that power and that choice to use it, again, that just it just sits on the tongue a little differently, and it comes out a little differently. So like being a historian as well,
Mhm.
like I I I walk a line. I'm like, oh man, like I don't know. But then it's like the word has been used by white folks and black folks for quite some time, like over a span of generations. And I'm not one to say who's right and who's wrong. Well, I mean, I don't want white people to use it. And people can call me a hypocrite. I understand. I get it. But I think at the same time, it's kind of like when um, you have a family member and you can clown on your family member. You can say, "Oh, bro, you ugly, you this, you that," like boom, 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 boom. Like you can say whatever because that's your family.
Mhm.
But as soon as somebody from outside your family tries to do that to your family member, you like, hold on, partner. You know what I'm saying? Like this
Yeah.
this is not how we do it. Like this is not how that is about to go. And I think that in its own way, that is what the N word has been. You know, hard R, thrown off.
Yeah.
We throw the A on there. Again, it's just one of those things where it's like it comes down to again preference, upbringing, and just like who you're around and like what you're saying. Because I mean, I've used the word a
Mhm.
lot. Um, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like just being real. And then like even in poetry, even in poems, man, like we think about like a lot of the early spoken word artists that were like really like recording during the Black Arts movement. Like we have our Gil Scott Herons, we have the Last Poets. What I'm saying, like we have all of these different groups and folk. Our Nikki Giovanni's. We have all of these folks who are using the word nigga. It's like it's a part, it's just a part of our culture. It's a part of, like good, bad, ugly, indifferent, you know,
Yeah.
it's a part of the culture and it's a part of, like how we communicate with each other. So again, it just really comes down to preference, upbringing, like if you don't want to say nigga, that's cool. Oh, whoops. Well, I said it. But if you don't want to say the word, that's cool.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, it's all about our expressions and everything like that. But
Absolutely.
still, white people, please don't say it. God, God bless you.
And see, for me, I choose to steer. I stage left on it because for me, it's just like you said, you went to a HBCU, you got your degree, right?
Yeah, so I got my undergrad at a MSI, a
Okay.
minority serving institution,
Okay.
the University of North Carolina at Pembroke, which was founded for and by Native Americans, the Lumbee Indians to be specific. But I am getting my master's from HBCU right now
Nice.
and
Nice.
at North Carolina Central University. Um, and before we move on, like the one question that I always like to pose to white people will
Yeah.
be like, well, if y'all can say it, why can't we say it? I'm like, why do you want to say it so bad? Like, as a white person or someone who identifies as, Eurocentric,
Mm.
however,
Yeah.
and with the knowledge that you should have
Mm.
about the history of that word
Right.
and how it was used, why do you want to say it so bad?
Mm.
Especially after we've expressed like, hey, nah, like even if it's some rap songs, like, hey, nah, like don't do that. Like, why do you want to use it? I understand freedom of speech and all that, but
Mm.
there's something deeper as to what I'm saying, like why you want to say it. So like, why do you want to say, nigga?
Yeah. That is a
I
good.
never get I never get good responses.
I mean, is there a good response? There probably isn't. I mean, when you really truly think about it, maybe they just want to say it because we say it. It's another way for them to, um, you know, make sure that we're not a level above them on something. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, when it comes to a lot of things, we're
Hmm.
we're right here, and then the white people are right here. And not saying that everything is that way, but when you think about just our lives and some of the things that we have went through, and in this short life that we are living, there are a lot of times where you see people of color that get the lower end of the stick, and you see the opposite on the other side. So maybe that's just them trying to um, find a way to Be like, oh, you guys think you guys can get away with that and say that word and expect us not to do it when we're the people that brought you here and made sure that you had and all this and that. And it's like, well,
Mhm.
unfortunately, you don't have that. You're not, you're unable to feel that. And it be okay. And so, yeah, me personally, I just don't say it.
I feel it. I
And
feel it, brother. Yeah.
and and to me, it's I just don't, because I feel like, we as educated black men should feel comfortable enough to make a choice on choosing to use the language versus not use the language. We go to school to educate ourselves and advance our vocabularies and not be the norm, and be these stereotype typical people that white people say we are. And so for me, I just try to try to meet them on their level. Oh, you went to a university. Oh, interesting. So did I. What did you get your degree in? Oh, interesting. You know what I'm saying? And I just try to meet them in that level. And if I like the music that has that word in it, I steer clear. I have kids. So
Yeah.
I always really gotta think about, do I want my son, who is 5 right now, do I want him to grow up and be using the N word, the B word, the F word, the S word, all these
Yeah.
words that are aren't any words that I use.
Right.
I don't
Ab-
curse. I don't say the N word. And I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. I just choose to use better vocabulary, better words, so that, the people that are around me and watching me move and migrate, and they see that and they hear that by the way that I speak, the way that I move, the way that I operate. You know what I'm saying? That I'm trying to be better than the people that I grew up around. Some of the friends that I used to hang out with that have, went to the streets and now are gang banging or locked up or even dead, for instance. You know what I'm saying? Like, not saying that that's what happened with anyone that uses those particular words. I'm just saying, like, the people that I used to
yeah.
hang around, they were usually affiliated with the wrong crowd of people. If that was
Yeah.
a major thing in their vocabulary, then not a lot of times that's what ended up happening. But
Yeah. And then I definitely receive all of that.
mhm,
Um, and I think that one of the things that we really have to be intentional about, like as educated black men, as you said, and just as educated black folks is
yes,
um is we have to be careful that we're not always centering whiteness, right?
hmm,
Because there's always been this thing of respectability in our communities of
uh,
like, oh well, don't act like this because you're gonna make us look crazy in front of them white folks. Don't talk like this because the white folks is listening, or like
right,
whatever. But at the end of the day, like when have white folks really cared? Like we have to be careful about trying to alter ourselves to such an extent that we're trying to make ourselves attractive to the people who have colonized us, to the people who have oppressed us,
mm,
and like to the people who have
points,
done all of these things to
yes,
denigrate and degrade us. Because at the end of the day, it didn't matter if we were saying what's good, my N word, or top of the morning to you, my good educated brother.
absolutely,
White folks were still coming over, cracking us upside the head,
yeah,
hanging us from trees, setting us on fire, and doing all of these things. So like we
absolutely,
have to be really careful. 'Cause I do understand that there is a professional, like kind of element,
mhm,
and like everything of that nature. But at the same time, we have to be careful to make sure that we're not over policing ourselves, and we're not throwing so much respectability onto us and onto the people in our communities, that like they don't feel like they are lesser than
yeah,
because they
yeah,
don't
for
have
sure.
a certain kind of vocabulary or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, um, we don't have to open our mouths for the police to shoot us down. It doesn't
That's,
matter if I speak like I'm out of Webster's, or
yeah.
if I'm speaking,
Good.
off of the new track or whatever.
Yeah.
Like like the thing that we share in common is like skin tone and whatnot. So it's just one of those things. Like it's a lot of nuance. There's a time and a place for everything, of course.
Yeah.
But again, like, and again, and just to, I'm a poet, I'm a writer. Just even relating it back to what Langston Hughes was doing.
Yeah.
A lot of people, he got a lot of flack from a lot of black elitists and whatnot, went like early on in his career and like really throughout his career, because of how he would write his poems and the language that he would use in his poems, because it wasn't the King's English. It was, making black folks, sound a certain way. But it's like, nah, bro, like this is the language within the community. Like
Yeah.
this is what my people will understand. This is what those people will understand. Like they don't already have a voice in the literature. So I am amplifying those voices and like making sure that like when they open up a book or when they like see something, they hear something, they identify with it. So again, it's one of those things where we have to know how to walk that line,
Yeah.
of like speaking however, but also not forgetting that like sometimes we got to talk our stuff, for our people and for wherever, whatever environment we came from. Not that we have to remain stuck in those places that no longer serve us, but at the end of the day, all of that is part of our path. And like everything and everybody that we were once involved with, or wherever we came from, like each of those things led us to where we are now, and
Yeah.
where we're going to go. So it's one of
Absolutely.
them things, bro. Yeah.
It almost sounds like learning your environment, articulating with each environment that you're in. So if you're hanging out with your boys and your homies, it's all good. If you're trying to get you an advancement in a position, in some situation, then the vocabulary that needs to be used for that particular situation. If you're rolling in your car and you're listening to one of your favorite songs, and that vocabulary happens to be in that particular song, it's all good because you are making it work for each and every one. And I mean, it makes sense. I mean, totally. I totally get where you're coming from. And I love the way that you just kind of articulated and brought it back to the realization that it isn't about trying to make yourself look better than anyone else, but just don't forget who you are, where you came from, and the vocabulary that was used before you got this so-called education, the people you were around that were using this so-called
Yeah.
verbiage.
Yeah. Slang, ebonics, whatever they want to call it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like, it's just one of them things, man. Like
Absolutely.
for a while, I used to try to, speak so prim and proper that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, man, like, but eventually it's just gonna it's just gonna slide out. So I'm just like, man, like, it's not comfortable. W.E.B. Du Bois would call it, double consciousness.
Yeah.
Like of the black person in America. Like, two souls in one body.
Yeah.
Like all the code switching and all that. But like code switching is very uncomfortable. I mastered it. I
Yeah.
can do it very well, but man, I'm tired of code switching.
Yeah.
Like I'm tired. I'm tired of going to where like white folks are. Nah, like I'm gonna bring y'all here. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring y'all into my neighborhood without gentrifying it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm gonna speak how I speak, and then
Absolutely.
we can have and we can have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things that we're still trying to nuance, and something that I'm still trying to work through in professional spaces and everything like that, man. But it's one of those things.
So let me throw this out before we go any further. Where did you kind of come up with the concept of becoming a traveling poet. And how was your time when you were in Spokane? Like, because I know you went out to Spokane. My shout out to my nephew. He actually goes to school out in Spokane.
Okay, what
But
school he go to?
he actually goes to Eastern
Hmm.
and Eastern Washington University.
Eastern
Uh,
Washington. Okay.
yeah, so he's out there. But yeah, man, tell us a little bit about how you got into this whole traveling poet thing, and how was your time when you was here in Washington? How did it
Oh
go?
man. Oh man, it was dope. It's dope. It's always interesting when I come to Washington. I mean,
Yeah.
I like I just came for the first time in November. Okay, real quick. But so uh, so I just started really taking poetry like kind of seriously
Yeah.
around like 2019. Started
Okay.
doing like poetry slam, like learned about poetry slams and all of that. And I was already kind of doing open mics. Then I started a poetry page. I started NDC poetry on Instagram. Then made it into anyway. So all that. And I was going to open mics. I was traveling. I was like doing stuff within North Carolina. Stuff on campus and whatnot. And then like going to different open mics throughout the state. And I was like, man, like I kind of want to do more with it. But I'm still in school. Like grad school and all this. So like pandemic comes 2020, I'm like, oh dang, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna focus a little more on this poetry thing and see where it can go. I started listening to a podcast called the Poet Life Podcast, and talking about, making, like building a professional life as a poet. And I was like, I didn't know such a thing was possible. Let me learn more about this. So, I'm listening to the podcast. I'm kind of starting to implement certain things within to my life. I built my own website. I got my LLC. Like just trying to like clean up some things, my brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just trying to clean up some little professional things. And like the more I'm like writing, the more I'm going places to perform, like the better I'm getting. I'm not realizing it, but the better I'm getting, and the more I'm like, man, like maybe I can do a little something full time with this thing right
Yeah.
here. Then there's this thing called NACA, National Association for Campus Activities. That's where
Mhm.
all these schools come and they book all their talent. Like whether it's singers, dancers, poets, like little novelty things, like all this stuff. It's called NACA, and they have regional ones and they have a national one.
Mhm.
I submitted a bunch of applications. Didn't get accepted to any of them. I was like, dang, that's tough. I'm kind of broke. Uh,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Then the application came for the national one, like the really big one, and I was like, well, look, Jesus, Lord, I only got about this amount of money in my account. I can pay for the application, but I'm gonna have to eat, air for a little bit. And I submitted my stuff, redid some paperwork, turned it in, got accepted for the national showcase. Um, then I was like, man,
That's
I'm still
cool.
in grad school. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm
Yeah.
still in grad school. I had to leave, and then I was like, man, like, so I had to do a lot of praying, a
Yeah.
lot of meditation on that. And I was
Mhm.
like, well, it's either grad school or my dream and this like one like opportunity. Like I was like, I got this one thing. I think we can flip it into a couple other things.
Mhm.
And then from there I was like, I'm gonna leave grad school. I'm gonna take a break. If it don't work out, I'll come back to grad school. Finish out, be cool. Um, and I haven't had to go back to grad school yet. I'm gonna go back at some point, but just wanted to like jump further into my purpose, jump further into
Yeah.
into this thing that like I loved and wanted to make a career out a career
Yeah.
out of, because I can't have a traditional 9 to 5 because of poetry.
Right.
And like just the hours and everything just would not align, because I mean I have to do stuff in the morning, in the afternoon, and at nighttime. So like it just wouldn't work out. I'll have to time off and all this other nonsense. So I was like, man, like we just gonna have to figure out how to make this thing work. And
Yeah.
like that's how I got out to Washington. Um, I made it out there the first time in November for the regional NACA.
Yeah.
I was in Spokane. Then they brought me back I was in, so the week before, I met y'all at Poetry with Intentions.
Yeah.
Um, I was in, I left, I was in San Francisco and Oakland for a performance, and then I flew into Seattle, and I had to do a series of like workshops and performances at a school in Puyallup and Fort Silicon.
Okay.
Um,
Fiala.
and yeah. Really hard for me to pronounce. Really hard for me to
Good.
pronounce. First time I was like, what are y'all saying to me? Um, so and that's where I ended up meeting. I met Caution
Okay.
when
Yeah.
I was when I went to uh Nate Jackson's comedy club on that Wednesday because my
Yeah.
man Jamar Smiley, he was
Absolutely.
doing that event in Tacoma. And I had hit him up on Instagram because I was like, look, bro, I'm from North Carolina. I'm only out here for a couple of days. How do you get in on, what's I don't know if I can
Let's
perform,
go.
but I just like to slide through. Um, he saw the DM, he hit me back. He was like, yeah, pull up early, slide through, we'll chop it up. He put me on the stage. He allowed me to perform. I again got to meet Caution and like all these other dope folks that were
Yeah.
in Tacoma and in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I was in Seattle for the rest of the week. Went to Jamar's show in
It's,
Seattle,
yeah.
the Poetry Collective. He let me rock out there. He hit me up. He was like, "Yeah, bro, what I'm saying, you want to rock out?" I was like, "Please let me."
Yeah.
And coincidentally, and less about coincidence, but more so fate and how God works.
Yeah.
Um, I had to be back in Spokane the next week. I had to be back in Spokane on Tuesday, on that next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I flew out. I flew back to North Carolina on Saturday. I was in North Carolina for like a day and a half, and then I flew to Spokane on Monday, on a Monday night. Yeah, on Monday afternoon. Flew to Spokane, did my thing in Spokane on Tuesday morning and Tuesday afternoon. They doing Poetry with Intentions in Tacoma
Yeah.
on Tuesday night. And I told Caution, I was like, look, bro, if I can swing it, I'm gonna be there. And I was like, I'm gonna be there. So I pulled up, man. I was like, I know it's a 4-hour drive from
Yeah.
Spokane to Tacoma, but I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna be back over here on this side again. So I was like, I'll take 4 hours
Yeah.
to a 4-hour flight and then
Yeah.
some, like across the country. So like that's how I ended up at Poetry with Intentions because I
Yeah.
met Caution in them a week prior, and just like being out there, having all that great energy, seeing all the talent,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and just being able to learn from other artists and again from other areas and just being poured into, man. It was a blessing, and like I'm super grateful to like be able to meet you and so many other people
Yeah.
out there, man.
I mean, bro, like to me, it's such an amazing story. To when you throw the names of the people that you came into contact with. Obviously, Jamar Smiley, he's an amazing poet. Caution, Caution throws down. He's an amazing poet
That guy.
and the creator of Poetry at Intentions. You Nate Jackson Comedy Club. Obviously everybody know who Nate Jackson is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's such an amazing thing that you such a small world, but at the same time, it's like all of these amazing people um, that you came into contact with right here in Washington, and like for
In a
me,
couple days, in the
in a
span of a
couple
couple
days.
days, the window is this big.
I mean, it's so cool. It's such an amazing story, and like I'm very appreciative because you sparked something in me, and I was like immediately I was like, yo, like I really want to I want to learn. I want to understand. I want you to come onto my show and talk with the people about who you are and your driving force because I've seen a lot of poetry, but I've just never seen it put together the way that I mean, all of you guys are amazing. I mean, that night was a great
Oh
night.
yeah.
It was a
Oh
great
yeah.
night to be in the house. Um, but I was really impressed by you because I've heard pretty much all the other people that were there. Um, I heard a little bit about Jamar before, but I didn't actually see him get down.
Yeah.
But Jamar's amazing as well. But there was just something about you, and like for me, I would love it if you don't mind if I can get you to spit something for the people. I mean, anything that you would like. I just think that it's important for people to understand the levels to who you are and how they can get in contact with you. Obviously, NDC Poetry. Is that it?
Yes. Yes.
www.ndcpoetry.com.
.com. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please, guys, make sure you guys go check this man out. He is impressive. Impressive. Hit up his Instagram. I mean, I'm always on your Instagram, checking out new stuff and sharing it. You know me, I be on it, man, because
For sure.
it's extremely impressive. So, if you wouldn't mind, I'll mute myself so that we can hear something from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not a guru, but I know life ain't meant to be like this. We're black in a world dominated by whiteness. Although we dodge white fists of oppression like Ali between the ropes, in the past when that Mayweather would come, those white folks would hang us with their ropes. America looks at us through a horoscope since they treat us like cancers. Then they cross us like Iverson when we try and find answers. We're public enemies that are trying to fight the power with faces scarred like Tony Montana because the world is really ours. But when you know better, you move better. These words can be used as ammunition if you listen. This news won't make the front page. So to hell with minimum wage because the ultimate mission is to make you pay attention, which is why they won't mention that our black girls are missing. And we need to figure out what that's about because our girls may be black, but they don't deserve immediate blackout hour. Black girls may be magic, but that doesn't mean they need to disappear. So I'm here to make it clear that we're military minded without fear of retribution from our oppressors. I'm like a black Hannibal Lecter as I eat my enemies alive with my voracious vocabulary and cannibal-like lectures. But I'm like a Leo Negro da Vinci the way I paint pictures. So with these artistic scriptures, I'm bringing revelations like the Bible, even though I'm kind of like Malcolm holding the rifle as he looks through the blinds. I'm a vigilante looking to stifle my people's destruction caused by colonizers' crimes. I weaponize my mind to shoot knowledge in these lines that they're coming from the barrel of nine. So just know we're applying pressure. And when we bring the revolution, it's going to barack our oppressors even harder than Donald Trump's predecessor. But our communities view violence like it's another aspect of growing up. And our children who used to jump rope and double dutch have now become vehicles of violence. So when they hoist multiple weapons at one time, we call that a double clutch. And we can't seem to get this infatuation with violence out of our heads. It's like kids have super soakers filled with water from Flint, Michigan, since they have a twisted fascination with wanting to spray others with lead. And we treat gun crimes like cereal. Brothers get dropped on the block and make like Rice Krispies and Snap Crackle Pop targets over matters so trivial. And because brothers imitate a lot of what they see, and the apple don't fall too far from the tree. That machismo and masculinity will make a brother pull the Mac since he don't believe in being PC. And believe me, things have been wild like the Amazon since so many brothers are taken before their prime. But when you thrive off of toxic masculinity, I guess you don't need iOS because following your pride is the best way to FaceTime, which is why I phone home to the homies to get my update. But I get scared when they go certain places, so my soul starts to shake like when you rearrange the apps on your screen. Because one of my biggest fears is that sooner or later, one of my homies will appear on the screen for being the victim or the perpetrator. And you can't rationalize in certain situations, so there's no time for mediators. And there's not much you can do because once those arguments ensue, brothers will be quick to become a barber's greatest impersonator and fade adversaries like they're giving out free tapers. But it's so ironic how brothers claim to be real niggas and real men when they're really embryonic. They don't believe in dialogue, so you gotta watch the head dog because their fingers pull triggers quicker than the hedgehog named Sonic. So it's time we get brothers hooked on phonics and properly deconstruct the word piece because it's hard to know peace if you have no peace. And it's time that we be vessels of love and unity and be assets to our people instead of cancers to our community. Thank
Ooh,
you.
man, there's a lot going on up in there, man. I mean, that was bars. Where do you start? Where do I start? It was definitely truth. There's a lot of truth in there. And, if you missed some of that, please go back and re-listen to it.
Yeah.
Rewind.
Rewind if you need to.
I mean, gosh, amazing, man. I could break down each portion and rewind it and do it again because it was just that good.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
I want to commend you too for winning that poetry slam as well. Just recently. Tell us a little bit about this event that you won.
Oh, so this event in particular was put on by the Piedmont laureate out here in North Carolina. His name is Desan Ahanu. He is world renowned, poet, writer, playwright, recording artist. But look, the list goes on and on. But his name is Desan Ahanu. But this event in particular was for the 60th anniversary of Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham City jail. And the theme of the poetry slam was, like each poem had to relate in some part to Dr. King's, letter from a Birmingham City jail. It was just all a matter of, making sure, I already had work that, had themes, very similar to what, Dr. King was writing about, in that letter, which was a letter to, white clergy members who, thought that they were, being a part of the solution by criticizing Dr. King for, nonviolence and the tactics that he was using, which is why I find it really crazy. Quick side note, which is why I find it really crazy when people nowadays are like, oh, well, y'all should be more like Dr. King, and y'all should do more of this and more of that. And I'm like, bro, you don't even mean the words you're saying because, for one, Dr. King was, one of the most unpopular people when he was murdered. Two, he was getting criticized for the very tactics that you're telling us to, reinstate by people that look just like you. So I'm like there's no winning with people who do not want to be reasoned with. You can't agree or even learn to disagree with disagreeable people. So quick side note, let's stop watering down Dr. King and his legacy for the radical brother that he is and was. But yeah, so that's what the poetry slam was really about. And it's just all about just making sure that we're continuing to use the art to uplift the communities that need to be uplifted. And we're using our powers for good, which is why we're just continuing to work with my brother Billy Allen, who is still on federal death row, for a crime that he did not commit. He is also another dynamite, writer, poet, playwright, graphic artist. Just the list goes on and on. And he's been on federal death row for the last 25, well, I believe it's coming up on 26 years now that he's been on federal death row for that crime that he did not commit. So, and those were those poems that I shared that night, with y'all at in Tacoma. There's some poems that I had wrote that were reflective of that work that I do in working to get my brother Billy free and to get the death penalty abolished, not only here in North Carolina, but everywhere.
Absolutely. So Nick, real quick, we just hit our hour, which is obviously it's been flying by and haven't even really noticed it. But what is your plan for after you get your you finish your degree, your master's? What is your plan for after that? Are you still going to do poetry, or where do you see yourself going after that?
Oh yeah. So with the degree. So I'm getting my master's in African American history. So the plan, was and has been to get my master's and then become a teacher, become a professor. If
Nice.
not, at the community college level, university, wherever they are willing to,
Absolutely.
take a chance on a young brother from Greensboro,
Yeah.
North Carolina, to educate and continue to mold young minds, young and
Absolutely.
old minds. Old is subjective, but that's neither here nor there. But I would like to get into the classroom, start to revitalize how we approach education, and teaching and everything of that nature, especially at the community college and university level, because it is in deep need of a revitalization. There's a lot of gatekeepers. There's a lot of like it's our way or the highway, kind of folks that are still in place, and I
Mhm.
think that we're doing, like they're doing students a disservice, especially like nowadays where like a lot of people are choosing to not even go to college, because like why do I need to go to college when I can do X, Y, and Z, and like teach myself, and YouTube University and like all these other things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things within the institution that I don't agree with, within the academy, and not saying that I'm gonna be the one to go in and do that whole I'm gonna fix it from the inside. I'm gonna be the inside man. But I do think that if given the opportunity, not if, but when given the opportunity, that I'll be able to really connect with like the next generation of students, of leaders, of artists, and find a way to make teaching, learning, and like all of these things more interdisciplinary than they are, and to like really start to incorporate a lot of like the art that I do with the educational work that I do, and like marry those two. But that is one avenue. But even when I do get to that point of being in the classroom, I still fully plan on like teaching. I mean, on doing poetry, traveling, and like doing all of these things,
Absolutely.
at higher levels, and in
Yeah.
different rooms.
Well, I think you're on your way. You definitely are, have the knowledge, the intelligence, the mind frame to be an asset in any school, any university, even with the little bit that you have, which is a lot for someone that doesn't know much about themselves, where they come from, and some of the facts of African history, American history, and how it all correlates into who we are as people on this crazy world. I think
Absolutely.
I think you're moving the right lane. I think it's going to be an amazing day when it happens. I know it's going to happen, and I'm hoping I'm there to kind of, if not see it face to face, at least see it online somewhere. You know,
Absolutely.
and I commend you for everything that you're doing. And I can't wait to see you continue your success. I mean, I know it's there. I definitely seen it from the first time I seen you, and like I'm following closely. If you guys have not followed Nick, make sure you guys get on it. NDC Poetry. Is it all platforms, or where they is you usually Insta? Are you an Insta guy?
I mean, I use Instagram. I'm trying to get better with Facebook. I'm gonna get better with Facebook at some point. Bear with me. And TikTok as well. I'm on there with the kid. I ain't posted nothing in a month, but I'm gonna get back to it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm there everywhere in DC poetry. Nick Courmon, you'll find me. I'm out here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm out here.
I got one last question before I get out of here, Nick. What do you want people to remember about you when you leave this earth?
Mm, man, that's a good question. Well, you should have led with that one. I I I want people to remember that I was kind, and well, I'm going to continue to speak in the present tense, because I think that even when we leave, we're still here.
We're still
Um,
here.
you know what I'm saying? Because energy never dies. Um,
Absolutely.
but I want people to remember that I'm kind. Uh, I love people. Well, I love people. I want the best and the most for people. Um, I want people to be free.
Mhm.
I want people to be loved. I want people to be seen. Um, Not only to feel seen. I don't want people to just feel seen. I want people to be seen. Um, I want people to be supported, protected. That in the words of the great Martin Luther King Jr. Like he has a. I'm sorry, it's the historian in me, and just
Yeah.
my granddaddy and my parent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just get a little carried away sometimes. But he has this address.
Yeah.
Um, it's called the Drum Major Instinct, and they actually they actually played the last about 5 minutes for it, like of the recording at his funeral,
Oh
because
wow.
that is what he requested in the speech. So he talks about like everybody has this desire to like lead the band. Everybody wants to be a drum major. Like
Mhm.
everybody wants to be known for something. Everybody wants to be recognized, seen. Like even as babies and as children, like the first
Yeah.
things that we do, what I'm saying, like we cry. Sometimes it's not even because what I'm saying, like there's something wrong with us. It's a cry for attention. What I'm saying,
Yeah.
like we want some kind of attention in some way. And I'm not gonna be, like have like false piety and like all that and be like, oh nah, not to me. Like nah, like I would like to be recognized for something. Like I don't do things to be recognized, but it feels nice to be recognized.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the king was, like saying all these things, and he was like, like when he died, he was like he doesn't want people to talk about all the awards that he won, all the all the speeches that he did, like all the organizations he was in or founded. Like he said, I want people to say that Martin Luther King was a drum major for justice, a drum major for peace.
Yeah.
I tried to feed the hungry. I tried to clothe those who were naked. Like I live my life for trying to like do better for others. And like I'm not Dr. King, but
Right.
like I think that definitely resonates with me as well. Like I just want to make sure that I continue to live a life um of like doing those things of like bringing equity, bringing peace, bringing justice, and just bringing love and light to the spaces, and to the people, and to wherever needs it the most.
Absolutely.
Like that's what I want people to remember. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you for spending this time with me. I definitely think you're a light in the darkness, shining through and changing lives every step you take, every move you make, every speech you speak, and words you share with us. It's all good. Continue on
Thank you,
that
brother.
path. I'm sure you'll be fine, bro. I mean, you ain't got to worry. You moving the right way. I mean, obviously, it's like people literally are watching and have probably never even heard of you, but are loving what you're bringing to the table. So keep doing what you're doing, and I wish you all the luck in the world to
I
be the
say
best
thank
version
you,
of
brother.
yourself that you can be. You know what I'm saying? And
Thank
that's
you,
all
brother.
we could ever be.
I received all that, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Keep on going with the platform. You know what I'm saying, and everything that you are providing for not only myself, but for other artists, other entrepreneurs, just
Absolutely.
anyone else who needs it, brother. You are doing important work as well. You know what I'm saying? Don't let that fly under the radar either, brother. Like, you out here doing the doggone thing. And I'm
Thank
proud of
you.
you. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
One black man to another man. You
I
know what
do
I'm saying?
appreciate that.
Coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast, brother.
Coast to coast,
Coast to coast, brother.
Well, hey, for everyone else that's watching, thank you guys so much for being here today. Next week, we're going to be with another poet, Mr. Pyro the Great. Young cat. He's about to turn 30, I think, next week. And he's wrote 14 books. He's been doing poetry for a very long time. A very intelligent guy, just like my guy right here, Nick. So if you guys want to hear a little bit more about him, definitely tune in next week. His name is Latrey Brown, but he wanted me to call him Pyro the Great. So make sure you guys tune in for that next Saturday. On behalf of the Circle, thank you so much. It's your guy DH. Thanks again, Nick. We'll talk really soon, my brother. Y'all have a blessed rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Through thicker than the ups and downs, you always been around. Is it gonna end like this? Not sure if this is something I'd get past.